Hey, my name's Anthony.
My name's Alex.
And we are
the PTA Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the PTA Podcast.
Go on.
What are you doing?
Go on.
We're going to start again, man. Sorry.
No, keep that going.
No.
Why?
Starting again. I want to be a little bit professional.
Yeah, but the humour is what attracts people.
No, that's not funny though.
That's why you just keep it. See, keep it rolling, Ben. Add it all in, I'm telling you. Keep it rolling.
Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of the PTA Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. This is my co-host, Alex.
I'm the host, he's the co-host. Jokes.
Today's episode is all about nutrition. In particular, we're going to talk about eating without restrictive diets.
Yep.
Firstly, let's talk about what a restrictive diet is. And it's fairly obvious what that is. It's kind of in the word. But let's talk about what that is and give us some examples, Alex. But also, we're also going to speak a little bit about the 80-20 rule.
Yep. And
you're going to, for everyone listening, you're going to describe what that is, what that looks like, and how they can implement that into their day and who it's best suited to. And then I'm going to be speaking about the typical restrictive diets that we hear a lot about today.
Yeah.
In particular, keto and carnivore diet.
Yep.
And who they're best suited to, how they came about, and why they're so effective in the realm or as an intervention, nutritionally speaking, when it comes to fat loss.
Yep.
So I'll let you take it away, my man. 80-20 rule, what is it? Who started it? Who's it best for?
Yeah, easy, man. So 80-20 rule, look, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard it before, but if you haven't heard about it, the 80-20 rule is pretty simple. We look at your week as a percentage of 100%, 7 days in a week. And then when we look at the 80-20 rule, we want to look at 80% of someone's week being to the plan, right? Whatever that plan may be that they have set, either themselves or their coach has set for them, but sticking to that plan 80% of the time.
Give us an example of what a plan would look like.
So,
or just some simple examples of what a plan can be for somebody. Is it a specific meal plan? Is it calories, macros? Is it either or? Is it both? What is it?
It could be anything. It's obviously dependent on the individual and the coach that they're working with and what they're doing at that time. It could be a specific meal plan. One of, an example, a plan that I have for a client, the way that she works is that she just likes to be told what to eat, how much to eat, and when to eat, right? So I've got her on a specific meal plan where I've got to set out at 5 meals a day, certain, weight with each food option in each meal. So for example, her breakfast is eggs with gluten-free toast and avocado. I've got the grams set out for her that she needs to have, and that's how the meal plan is pretty much laid out for her for the week. But when we then introduce the 80-20 rule into that, we then start to look at obviously how many calories she's having in each meal, how many calories she's having in a day, and then how many calories she's having in a week as well. And we're able to then create a little bit of flexibility on the weekend to still hit her calories, but stay within that 20% or having a little bit of flexibility. And that's where the 20% pretty much comes in. 80% of your week is to the plan, whether it's a specific meal plan, like I said, set out 5 meals a day with certain grams in each food option. It could be your calories and macros, and you have set targets for your calories and macros that you need to hit every single day, whatever that method may be. And you stick to that 80% of your week, and then usually the weekend is where the flexibility comes. People have events on, birthdays, weddings, christenings, any event. And that's where we then have a bit of flexibility, and we look at it as 20% of that. Now, in saying that, when we look at how many meals we have in a week as well, we look at 5 meals a day is the average amount of meals that someone would have over 7 days in a week, right? And so, Anthony, I'm not the best with maths right now, but tell me, what's 5 times 7?
Come on, bro.
5 times 7, go.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
35.
Thank you.
Now, when we're looking at that, that's 35 meals in a week, and then we're looking at 20% of that is
28.
Beautiful.
No, it's not. 80% of 35 is 28.
Yeah. So then we have 7 meals left over. We then look at, okay, with those 7 meals, what can we do to create a little bit of flexibility so that the individual doesn't feel like they're being a robot doing the same thing over and over again, or they can go and enjoy a dinner out with friends, they can enjoy the birthday, they can enjoy the work Christmas party, whatever it may be.
Can I ask a question off that before you continue? Because I know what you're going to go on to next and I'll lose myself. If they're that 20% meal, for example, they have a work event at night.
Yep.
They've stuck to their 4 meals in that day, and then that fifth meal they're going to say, oh, it's a 20% meal. But it's substantially higher amount of calories compared to the typical daily calorie, or calories per meal, I should say.
Yep.
Which puts their daily calorie intake out and puts them into what we term as a surplus.
Yep.
What happens then?
So really good question. It's probably a question that a lot of the listeners have probably drummed up in their head as well. This is where now you need to take into account the amount of calories that you have to play with in a day as well. Or if your coach has just given you that specific meal plan with no calories or macros, then your coach should educate you on understanding that because we know that your dinner is going to be bigger than it normally would be because you're at an event, right? Or you're at a restaurant where we don't know what oils they're cooking with. Meals are usually a bit more calorie dense in a restaurant compared to making food at home. So we need to understand that we need to make room for that meal. How do we make room for that meal? We might delete 2 meals in a day, right? So rather than having 5, you limit yourself to having 3. Breakfast, lunch, and then dinner. What ends up happening without even realizing is that you take the calories out of your 2 snacks as well as the calories of your dinner, you put them all together,
combine them,
and you might have 1,500 calories to use at dinner. You know what I mean? And then so someone can have that dinner, enjoy themselves, and be guilt-free, knowing that they can enjoy that dinner without the worry of putting themselves in a calorie surplus, like you said.
Would you say that if they were to leave themselves with, like say they had only breakfast and lunch and they missed the morning snack, afternoon snack and dinner meal, so those 3 meals and the calories combined of those 2 meals may be at 1,500, say they're 500 calories each meal. Would that not, if they do all those calories in that meal, or in that sitting between that and beverages like alcohol or soft drink or whatever, is that not too much at one time to be consuming where it causes a lot of inflammation and distress on the digestive system?
Well, what we need to look at as well is that it's very rare that someone's going to consume 1,500 calories in one sitting as well, unless they're having like a whole pizza on its own. It may be for some people, right? Obviously not for everyone. I can eat 1,500 calories in one sitting and be completely fine, right? For the average person, for the general person, it might not be that big of a deal to have that many calories in one sitting. However, if it is, and you feel like that having that amount in one sitting is too much, you could break it up where instead of having only 2 meals in the day before that event, have 3 meals in a day. You're combining then 2 meals together. It's a little bit less in terms of a total caloric intake in one sitting, right? Which might be a bit better for that digestive system. So you're not stressing your body out in terms of taking in so much food at one time. But nonetheless, what we need to understand is that the 80-20 rule is there to be able to apply flexibility to someone's eating in a week, right? And when we are looking at creating that flexibility, when it comes to what person it suits, it's gonna suit someone that has discipline in the first place, right? I don't give the 80-20 rule to everyone straight away. Because if you haven't created that discipline, then you might blow out your calories in that one sitting because you have no control over your food, right? Or you have no understanding as well of your food, right? Very simple. And I'll use myself as an example. I've got a very big appetite. I can have a large pepperoni pizza from Domino's, a whole thing of garlic bread, and dessert after in one go, and I'm good, right? Do I recommend that? Not at all. Do I feel like crap if I was to ever do it? Yeah, 100%.
No, you don't, bro.
No, I really don't.
I go into if I have half that pizza, I go straight into a food coma. You bounce up like nothing.
But the thing is that I can, hypothetically speaking, I can do that and then wake up the next day and get back on track straight away. Right?
Yeah.
Or I can do that, but I can limit myself to just the pizza and not blow out the rest of the evening, right? Some people don't. Some people have that, I don't even know what to call it, temptation or that thing where the moment something enjoyable touches their tongue, it's like they just go ballistic and they start just devouring everything in front of them.
There's a reason for that.
Right.
Factually speaking, there's a reason for that.
Hit it.
It's your satiety. It's a satiety of that meal. So if you have a meal that's very low in the satiety index, you're naturally going to want to crave something else right after. So pizzas, they're low, or breads in particular, they're low on the satiety index. So when you have it, you want something else. Your body
right.
craves something else. And you're not going to fight that temptation. You're just going to have it. This is why most people, when they go to a restaurant, they get a pasta or a pizza, for example. They get an entree. They'll get a pasta or main. And they'll get a
dessert.
And they'll get what else?
Soft drink.
A coffee, drink with it, whatever.
Yeah.
There's nothing high on the satiety index in those meals if they're getting those typical things that we get, like burgers, pizzas, pastas.
Yeah. Just for our listeners, if you don't know what satiety is, it's what keeps us, it's us staying full for long. So something that's low.
So satisfied is what Alex is trying to say, satisfied. And the satiety index is an actual thing. You can Google it if you want, and it'll tell you where all the different foods that we have in our day rank, from really high levels of satisfied feelings after you eat them to very low.
Yeah.
And you'll see where the foods you typically eat sit in those lists.
Yeah.
It's a great tool that we use for all of our clients. They don't know we use those tools, but we use it.
Yeah.
So the food selections is very important because we want to make sure that they're getting the right kind of messages sent to the brain, their body's responding the way that we want it to.
Exactly right.
And we're giving them more opportunities to stay on track. So things like being flexible with their diet is easier to attain without over tipping. I have one thing I wanted to ask you.
Go for it.
When it comes to the term,
Yep.
flexible dieting, what do you think is the interpretation of a typical client, for example, that we train? What do you think would be their interpretation of that when they see the words flexible diet?
Depending on the person, depending on the client and how much knowledge they've been given from us, or from any coach in that matter.
So the everyday person has got no idea.
They would literally look at it as, oh yeah, Matt, I can just be flexible and eat whatever I want.
Thank you.
And that's where I go back to what I said.
Yeah.
It's not something that, even though it's a very good method to use, and we love using it, even just for ourselves as well.
I hate it personally.
Right?
I freaking hate it.
I love using it for
I hate
myself. In saying that I have really good discipline with my food from bodybuilding. So that taught me a lot about food and being very disciplined with food. Like I said, with that example of the pizza and whatnot. But again, I wouldn't use it for everyone because of the fact that if someone's initially coming, they've just signed up with training with us, they've never had any experience with nutrition or training or anything in general, giving them reins to be flexible with their food, or not educating them first on nutrition in general and how to create sustainability with their eating in a week and understanding what a healthy routine of nutrition looks like, they're going to not, appreciate the 80-20 rule, but they're also not going to understand how to be disciplined with that flexibility.
Can I highlight something about the 80-20 rule? Most people think 20% is whatever you like.
Yeah.
It is whatever you like. However, it needs to work within the calories that you have on a daily basis.
Exactly right.
This is flexible dieting.
Yep.
Okay? And in particular, when we look at the 80-20 rule, 80% of what you have of your plan is on track with what you need to be having. And then the remaining 20% food selection can be whatever you like.
Exactly.
And in my opinion, I don't know how true this is, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, the amount of calories should stay relatively close to the calorie amount for that meal that you generally have.
Yep.
For example, if we have an allocation of 500 calories per meal, whatever you eat that's outside of the meal plan or the nutrition plan you've been given, if you're going to put it into that 20%, you can have whatever you want, but keep it within or as close to 500 calories.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why? Because of what it does for your digestion.
Exactly.
So when you keep things fairly consistent with the body, and when you don't overload the body with too much or too many foods that cause a whole bunch of distress and inflammation and bloating, for example, which significantly impacts how well you can digest and absorb these nutrients, what you're going to see is that you've actually enjoyed the process of losing body fat, of having a diet to follow, without feeling like it needs to be super duper restrictive all the time.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted, guys. Like, please, when it comes to a nutrition plan, there needs to be an element of it that you understand where it needs to be followed. There is a level of restriction that's there. And the reason for that restriction is because without that restriction, you go back to your old habits.
And you start to yo-yo.
And you go back to putting on body fat, for lack of a better term. The restriction is there because it limits your temptation from setting in. You're leaving yourself to the point where you're super hungry and doing what? pulling over at Macca's drive-through while
Yeah.
you're driving home,
100%.
or going and getting on Uber Eats and ordering whatever looks nice to eat,
Yeah.
right? Or walking down the street, going to the servo, and getting a meat pie.
Yeah.
And there are that many people that do that, and some of them are our clients, unfortunately. And I say, what was the reason why you did that? Oh, I didn't have anything to eat.
Yeah.
And I said to him, why didn't you prep ahead of time? Oh, I didn't have time. And then we start to work
Start to
through
break it down.
the different hurdles that they got to get over, right? And this is where a lot of people will start their health and fitness journey, and they'll assume that it's just going to be an easy process because they're building themselves in the gym. And they pay no attention to how important nutrition is. Because it'll take you like 2 hours to burn 500 calories on a treadmill, but it'll take you 10 minutes to eat 500 calories, if not less.
Trust me, I've been there.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's like, you did a what was that, 10,000 calorie day once?
I did a 10,000 calorie challenge.
Yeah, but how big was each meal? You had like 7 meals, right? But how big did you have to make each meal?
Oh, it wasn't like overly crazy. You would think, honestly, you would think when it comes to 10,000 calories, you're like, the meals are
No,
like that.
I understand what I'm trying to get to a point. How much roughly was each meal?
In terms of calories or grams?
Yeah, calories.
We aimed for about anywhere between 1,200 to 2,000 calories per meal.
Yep. And so how long did it take you to eat that 1,200 to 2,000 calories each meal?
Oh, literally an hour, bro, not even.
Yeah.
Half
See
an
what
hour.
I'm trying to say? Half an hour, sitting down, you were chatting away with, I think it was with Haydar, right?
Yeah.
So you're chatting away with our mate, and you were talking and eating. So you were sitting down for a good half an hour or so. Half an hour.
One of the meals, which was 1,000 calories, was done within literally 30 seconds.
It was a shake.
Because it was a massive 1,000 calorie shake.
Right, so you did a shake which was 1,000 calories a minute max, right? I watched the video, it was more than 20 seconds. It took like 6 deep
I laugh at that video.
But what I'm trying to get at is you got 1 minute to put on to ingest 1,000 calories versus 2 hours on a treadmill, right? So this is where people need to understand you can't outburn a bad diet.
Yeah, 100%.
So being okay with the fact that I can't have whatever I want whenever I feel like it, if I want to get to my goal, it needs to be something that you accept.
Yeah.
Because if you don't accept it, what happens? You keep beating yourself up against the same hurdle and stumbling on that same hurdle.
And you end up nowhere. And I just want to add on to that as well. Obviously, where flexible dieting came from was the understanding of calories and macros at the end of the day, right? And when we understand calories and macros and the macros and calories that are prescribed to an individual and how many calories there are in each meal for that individual in each day and how much they have each week, that's where flexible dieting came from. But what I always see is, and I don't see it too much now, maybe because my social media algorithm is different, but maybe about 2 years ago, or even 12 months ago, I would see coaches just constantly talk about flexible dieting and just throwing that term away as if it was just the best thing to do with no education behind it, right? And this
where were we getting that? Was that on Instagram?
No, I'm saying just on like Instagram, right? And you see, influencers and coaches and
Don't forget, bro, Instagram's not there to educate.
No, but the general person gets a lot of their education from Instagram, unfortunately.
That's the general person's fault.
That's what I'm talking about.
To get attention.
100%.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to say is that when people are listening to these videos, even YouTube as well, videos and whatnot, and they're throwing the term flexible dieting very loosely without any education behind it on how to flexible diet properly or how to utilize the 80-20 rule properly, this is where the average person then thinks, oh yeah, swear, I can do that, no worries. But they have no, like I said, discipline to actually use that method properly to get the best result possible. So this is where now, like Anthony said, there is always going to be a level of restriction with nutrition, regardless of what method you're doing. You have to be okay with that, right? Like you have to be okay with the fact that there has to be some level of restriction and you can't just be, airy-fairy with how you eat and think that you can do whatever you want and eat whatever you want and get the result that you want to get, because it just doesn't work like that. And if a coach or anyone ever says to you, yeah, flexible diet, it's great, you can eat what you want to get, like just tell them shut up, because that's not what it's about. It was a method created based on calories and macros to allow someone to be able to enjoy themselves 20% of the week. And that's it.
Well, even then, if you look at flexible dieting, right, they have their calories and the macros that they have to stick with, What are they doing 9 times out of 10 with their food?
Well, the thing is that a lot of people don't even have their calories and macros. They just get told flexible dieting. That's what I mean, without the education behind it.
Yeah, so say, for example, the ones that are educated, the ones that know what they're doing, right? The ones that have had experience with it and have been doing it for a while. What are they doing with their food to keep them on track with their calories and macros? Even though their food's different every day or every week, they're prepping ahead of time.
It's a thought out process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where the general person who just hears the term flexible dieting, they get fixated on the word flexible.
Flexible, exactly right.
And they don't understand that there's still a diet aspect to it. There's still a plan,
100%.
a process. There's a system in place to eliminate the chances of failure as much as possible.
And that's the thing, guys. What everyone needs to understand is, and I love the word that you just used. There's a system in place. There's a what do you say? There's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Because if there isn't a system in place, if there's no actual thought out process to how this nutrition intervention is going to be laid out for the individual, then like Ant said, you're just going to be banging your head against the wall, not achieving your goal, hitting the same result, not losing body fat, getting frustrated, and you're just going to be like a hamster on a wheel, going round and round, staying in the same spot.
And we have conversations like that all the time with clients. Anthony, why can't I get it? Anthony, why can't I achieve my result? Anthony, why have I put on body fat? I still have a belly, Anthony. And I just look at them and I think to myself, I literally have to just keep repeating myself. But one of the things that I've, over time in my career, learned was to listen really well without judgment, number one. Number two, to really understand what the person is actually saying, right? The gut or the belly that they're upset with is not the main problem. Them not feeling like they can actually move forward and have any control over their actions, to me, is the main problem.
Yeah, 100%.
And some of them are screaming at me, they're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I said, what do you mean? And in my head, and based on what I've got on paper for them, it makes sense. But then they don't actually understand, what's a calorie? What the hell is a macronutrient? That's what they asked me. And I think to myself, all right, so we have to really bring it down a level.
Another level, yeah.
Not because they're silly or they're dumb, but they just don't understand because that's not what they spent 15 years of their life learning.
Yeah. And can I just add something quickly onto that? Because obviously our industry is a very popular industry. There's a lot of young people getting into it and whatnot. And I feel like it's our job as coaches that have been in this industry for like 15 years now, yourself or nearing 20 years, to just educate those coaches as well. If there's anyone watching this podcast episode right now that is either thinking about becoming a coach or he has just become a coach and has just started in the industry,
Call me, I need coaches. I need coaches. We're growing fast, so I need coaches.
Take the time to get your client to understand like the basic of all basics. Like Anthony said, explain to them what a calorie is. Explain to them what a macronutrient is. Get them to feel like they know why they're doing what they're doing and they're confident in doing what they're doing. Because and this is what we've both seen, when a client understands the why behind what they're doing, they're more inclined to want to do it. Not just, okay, follow this meal plan, I'll check in with you in 2 weeks.
No problem with that. And this is what I really get frustrated with. And this is what differentiates the great coaches from the mediocre ones. Everybody's trying to automate and template stuff so they can get more people in and manage more people. But who are you helping? That client has paid you $1,500 for a 16-week program. Who are you helping? You're not helping them. You're templating it to them, right? Because that's what you know,
exactly
paper
right.
and science says. But this individual needs a bit more than just some sciencey terms and cool templates thrown their way. They need assistance, they need help, they need explanation, they need time. My wife's got an online coach, okay, and I referred her to this online coach because she specializes in female health. She sat with her for an hour and a half on a Zoom call explaining to her the method that they're going to go through over the next 12 weeks. An hour and a half. And my wife came out of that catch up with her on Zoom and was so much more relaxed about the process that she's going to go down.
Yeah.
And then there was like an alarm bell. I'm like, okay, I think I just learned something about how I can be able to talk to our clients with. So yeah, we do our fortnightly catch-up calls and whatnot, and we take the time to explain things to them. But I'm thinking as a part of the induction process for every new client to change that. Have a PowerPoint presentation set up that me, you, and whatever other coach I assign to do it, spends 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour or so, running through what to expect over the next 16 weeks.
Yeah, I like that.
And
I
how
like that.
their nutrition plan is going to work for them based on their goal.
100%. And I feel like stuff like that ends up becoming a necessity because, like, at the end of the day, we're not dealing with robots. We're dealing with human beings.
That's the thing, right? So when you template and automate stuff, it takes away the what?
The human interaction.
Exactly, the HI. It takes away all that, yeah? And that's where people lose connection. Why do you think podcasts are so popular?
Because
you can't fake this stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
How
Like,
the fuck can you automate? How do you automate, or how do you AI? How do you use AI for a 45-minute hour podcast?
Yeah, exactly.
Without it looking fake, you
Yeah.
can't. They're probably going to do it anyway, but you can't.
Yeah.
Right? It's very hard to do that because you pick it. This is why these kinds of things are so popular now, because of this interaction,
Yeah,
the human
100%,
interaction.
100%.
The more we get, and I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, all the technology that we have in society is still getting sick. We're not getting healthier. We're just prolonging life longer because we think we're smarter.
Yeah.
All the technology we have is taking away from the things that humans crave the most, and that's connection.
Yeah.
Right? It may look cool, it may grab your attention. All we get is a whole bunch of kids that have been diagnosed with ADHD when I don't think they have ADHD. They just got this phone in their face like this, and their dopamine is through the roof, and they can't focus.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's an episode in itself.
I'll fucking fight all of you on that. I ain't shit.
Hey, the episode in itself.
So the point of what I'm trying to get at is when you take the time to look after a human on a human perspective, on a human level, something as simple as following a nutrition plan becomes so easy.
Yeah, man.
Right? And then on top of that, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook to some degree, or to most degrees, now even LinkedIn.
Even Thread.
It is just,
have Thread.
it
I don't
is
even know what
just,
Thread is.
honestly just clickbait. It's all, what they put up there is clickbait. They want your attention, they want you to inquire, they want you to like, they want you to comment, because they want to then nurture you
Yeah.
on the back end. Do you understand? So when you see these short little things about flexible dieting, that coach or that person, that influencer, whatever you want to call them, is doing a certain thing for a certain reason. That's to get your attention, get you to comment, then they can nurture you off the back end. You know why I know that? Because that's how I fucking do it. I get your attention, I piss you off, I make you act, then I'll talk to you in the DMs and I send you a video and audio so you know you're talking to a human.
And then you love him.
And then they come in, they sign up, they go, fuck, this is great. Right? That's my code to a successful business online. But do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how it needs to work, and that's how it does work. So we use tech to our advantage, but we don't eliminate the human interaction.
Yeah, definitely, man.
So when it comes to getting a client to get onto a plan and understand flexible dieting and understand what they need and why it works for them and why it applies to them and how to integrate it into their life, there needs to be the time.
Yeah.
You can't just make a quick, fast template, automate, boom, done, I'll check in with you in a week. No, it doesn't work that way. They'll get overwhelmed and tell you to fuck off. You won't get the connection from them. Do you get what I mean?
100%.
Before we end up the episode, is there anything that you wanted to add?
Oh, look, I would just want to reiterate what I said. You know, if you are someone that is or that hasn't ever undergone, you know, nutrition intervention before, followed a plan before, worked with a coach before, take the time to really build that routine and discipline for yourself before you want to start exploring, you know, flexibility within your nutrition. And if you are someone that's entering the industry as a new coach, or you've been in the industry for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, who cares? Don't lose the reason as to why we started in this industry in the first place. I know that, well, I'm hoping that everyone that pretty much got into the fitness industry, the reason why you got into it is because you genuinely just wanted to help people. And I feel that sometimes a lot of us lose sight of that in our industry. We get so caught up in wanting to make a dollar that we actually forget that changing someone's life is actually the reason why we do this, because we've just given someone their father back, we've given someone their mother back, we've given someone their son back, their daughter back. We've prolonged someone's life so they can live with their children, they can see their grandchildren. That's why we do what we do. And that goes so far beyond any dollar that you'll ever make, because helping a human life is probably the best thing. Well, it's what we were created to do in the first place, is support each other. And it's the best thing that any of us can do in the first place. So yeah.
What just happened? You went real deep, real quick, bro.
That's why I do what I do.
I was just talking about flexible dieting.
Yeah, I know. There you go.
All right. Look, I got nothing to add.
Get a box of tissues.
That was
because we're about
great.
to go next level, Richard Mercer style.
That was great. I haven't heard that guy in a long time.
I think
I've got a
he's
funny
dead,
story
to be
about
honest.
that. I've got a funny story
I think
about
he's
that.
dead. Ben, is he dead?
No, I hope he's not. He's a good bloke. We'll see you next time. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.